From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
It's a long-time farming state with some very unique crops. We head to Pennsylvania as we continue our tour of the ag states of America.
Farmers remain cautiously optimistic about the outlook for the ag economy.
But what's supporting that optimism? Some surprising results in this month's Ag Economy Barometer, as farmers in the central part of the country watch and wait for relief.
We'll be lucky to even get any of that in the combine.
We head to ground zero for drought in the Midwest this morning on Ag Day.
Ag Day, presented by Pioneer. What's next happens when blood, sweat, and tears meet rain, wind, and sun. Pioneer. What's next happens here.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Crop conditions taking a hit as summer heat dries out already drought-stressed lands in parts of the country. The latest USDA crop condition report showing a 2% drop in good to excellent ratings for both corn and soybeans. Now, taking a look at the latest map, you can see where things are struggling, with Missouri faring the worst. Just 25% of the corn crop there is rated good to excellent, and just 28% of the soybeans are rated the same. Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan visited with one farmer in the state where harvest hopes are fading.
You know, the thing that really is amazing to me walking out here is normally when we would be this dry, you know, these plants are still green from top to bottom.
The view from the road give glimpses into the production problems for Kyle Samp.
These outside rows, this is what I would expect it to look like as dry as it's been, where the plants just, they don't have a good color and all the bottom leaves are burned up. That's what I'd expect to see.
But walk a little deeper.
That's not going to make much corn. We'll be lucky to even get any of that in the combine.
And looks are deceiving. You'll see lush green stalks, but when you peel back the husks, you'll find that Mother Nature has been extremely unkind.
And we've got an ear here that this one pollinated, kind of. So we've got a lot of misses on part of it. We got plants right next to it that, you know, the silks are starting to dry up.
Ear after ear, and you can see the drought is diminishing Samp's outlook for harvest.
4 plants in a row that are going to be kind of the same thing, where we just, you know, we have a few kernels on this ear, but by and large, we didn't pollinate at all.
The issue is widespread, and Samp says it grows even worse as you travel a little east from these farms.
Some fields, you know, we didn't pollinate at all. We've got barren plants, and then some fields we're going to have some zipper ears and just some misses. We'll still have some corn, but it's definitely hurt.
Samp says last week's heat could cause some ears to abort more kernels, but what you see here isn't from the heat.
It just hasn't rained. I mean, a lot of these fields, we haven't had 3 inches of rain on them since we planted them, and some of them have been less than 2, and we can't grow corn if we only have 2 inches of rain.
He says since it wasn't hot earlier this summer, the plants stayed fairly green, and Samp didn't even know how bad his pollination problems were until a couple weeks ago.
Probably about 10 days ago, we started kind of checking a few ears to see what we had out here, and it's like, man, this doesn't look good, and started checking more. And before it was all said and done, you know, we were out in every field kind of seeing what we had, and 10 days ago was kind of a bad day.
Since he thought his crop still had potential, Samp said they didn't spare expenses on inputs.
We were one good rain away from having some corn, and we went ahead and, you know, we had already put fungicide on corn. The forecast looked good for some rains that never materialized, and it just, you know, we hit some dry at a really bad time for this corn.
But now his hope is turning to soybeans.
It's going to have to rain, which is kind of, this year kind of seems like a long shot. But if we catch some timely rains, I think we can have a pretty good bean crop still.
He knows 100 bushels per acre is a long shot for soybean yields here, but with rain, he's hopeful that soybeans can still make 60 to 70 bushels per acre.
I don't know, it's been a bizarre year. I say that every year, but this is another one.
Reporting from Cairo, Missouri, I'm Tyne Morgan.
The chances are improving for rain in the central part of the country. Meteorologist Matt Engelbrecht joins us with an update. Matt.
Yeah, I want to start off looking at not only the rain, but the severe weather risk coming up on Wednesday and Thursday. The other thing they'll take a look at coming up in a little bit, not so much the severe weather risk, which is going to be tornadoes, damaging winds, or large hail. The other side of this is heavy rain or the potential for some flooding. We'll look at that coming up in just a bit. You can see parts of Illinois, also into Kentucky and Missouri as this system moves on through. It's going to be a pocket of showers and thunderstorms that are going to continue to move from the northwest down to the southeast, but very isolated in regards to the severe weather. Obviously staying away from the hottest part of the country, which is going to put you in Oklahoma and Texas under this ridge of high pressure. As we go into Thursday, start to move a little bit more closer towards Denver, but also into the Dakotas with a few severe storms possible. And again, when we talk severe weather risks, and basically a few tornadoes, damaging winds, or even some large hail, the heavy rain is something we're going to be talking about in just a bit. And these already look tasty. Travis sending this one in from Ontario, showing us his first day of potato harvest. Travis says they've had an excellent growing season. I'll have more on your forecast, potato, coming up.
Another round of dairy margin coverage payments will soon be coming to producers. In fact, June's DMC income over feed cost calculation is setting a new record low. It comes in at $3.65 per hundredweight. Milk covered at the $9.50 level will see an indemnity payment of about $4,300 for each million pounds enrolled. That's down $1.18 per hundredweight from May's previous low. A year-to-date, payments total more than $16,000 per 1 million pounds covered at the maximum level. Cautiously optimistic. That's how economists read the latest survey results from the Ag Economy Barometer. The July index rising 2 points to 123. The survey of more than 400 ag producers from Purdue University and the CME Group shows farmers are indeed a tad more optimistic this month. The index of their perceptions of current conditions rose 5 points, while the expectations for the future rose 1 point. The improving outlook comes amid some price volatility, weather uncertainty, and rising interest rates. Despite rising interest rates, farmers are still more positive when it comes to making those big capital investments.
The Farm Capital Investment Index rose 3 points this month to a reading of 45, and that index is now 9 points higher than it was a year earlier. The index rise was a little bit surprising given that farmers are telling us they still expect to see further rises in interest rates. This month, 2/3, roughly 65% of the producers in the survey said they expect to see interest rates rise over the course of the next year.
Surveyors say the number one concern for farmers continues to be higher input costs. Now that's followed by interest rates and then crop prices. Grain markets search for a footing here at midweek. We'll take a look at what to expect as the week continues next in Markets Now. And later, agriculture has deep roots in Pennsylvania, but that historical connection also includes plenty of modern production. We get a tour of the ag states of America today in the country.
AgDay is brought to you by Farm Shop MFG. Did you know that 20% of stored corn is often overventilated by 3 points of moisture? On 100,000 bushels, that's a whole semi-load. Stop this problem for less with the End Zone for Corn by Farm Shop MFG. Specially priced at $2,100 per unit while supplies last.
Analysts think crop stress in the Midwest will ease later this week thanks to better chances for rain, and that is continuing to pressure grain markets. AgDay's Michelle Rook talks with Dwayne Bussey in Markets Now.
Tuesday's grain closes were mixed. Dwayne Bussey with Bull Marketing joining us. In soybeans, a two-sided trade, but ultimately we ended higher there. And what do you think, Dwayne? Have we just taken enough weather premium out of that soybean market for now?
I think very possible. Soybeans, yes, the forecast is much better than it was a week ago, but it still isn't raining in the spots that need the moisture right now. And the forecast is calling for rains a little bit later in the week. I know for the Western Corn Belt where the crop deteriorated the most, that's when the rains are forecasted. So a little bit more need to see the rains actually fall to maybe get below 13, 18, something like that. So I think we found some support, and maybe the next couple of days we've got to look at the gap up above from Sunday night.
Yeah, and in fact, we did close back above the 200-day moving average, so that was key. And, what's it going to take to get back and fill that gap area? I think the products certainly were trying to help out.
Well, yeah, products will help, and the S&D table is tight for soybeans, especially the meal and the oil moving forward, we believe. So we got some investors coming in there too, but I think it's going to take that hot, dry forecast. You need something to threaten this bean crop in the U.S. to get back above and fill that gap, and to get above 14, you definitely need a hot, dry forecast.
So corn ended lower, but it's not just about supply there. It's even becoming more about the demand side of the supply and demand charts, isn't it?
Right, absolutely. That's been something I've been pushing really hard to our producers as far as hedging out there and risk management is that, we can argue the yield all we want. And we've sure seen on social media lately, it's the time of year to argue yields. But USDA has us projected to increase corn exports next year, 450 million bushels. And I'm just not seeing that, Michelle, not unless we have sharply lower prices, especially with Brazil's big safrinha crop coming on in the export market. So yeah, I'm a big bear when it comes to the corn market. Now, it's a time of year we trade supply mostly, and the weather looks pretty good for now, but eventually that demand's going to be a problem.
But a strong day in the cattle market, kind of bouncing off some support areas we needed to hold on Monday, and we built on it.
Yeah, I think we can. Last week's slaughter was so light from the packers that I think they have to go out and buy the cash cattle this week, and cutouts were up sharply yesterday. That should support feedlots as far as asking for higher prices, and I think they'll get them this week. We were still operating off this technical reversal we've seen in the charts about 2 weeks ago, but I think that cattle market is very strong. Demand is obviously very strong, even for the dog days of summer. So cattle market looks really good.
All right, thanks for joining us. Dwayne Bessie with Bolt Marketing. That is Markets Now. We'll have more AgDay coming up.
For marketing advice, call Bolt Marketing, a futures and options brokerage firm.
Registration is open for the 2023 Pro Farmer Crop Tour, August 21st through the 24th. Attend one of our nightly meetings or join online as we gain insight on the 2023 growing season. Visit profarmercroptour.com/register to select the stop nearest you.
Now, a little bit ago, we looked at the severe weather potential, tornadoes, hail, strong winds. Now I want to focus on the flooding potential, the area that could see those strong thunderstorms. Same areas that we could get some heavy rainfall or flooding in and across into Illinois, Missouri, but also back down here into Kentucky as well, all the way up into about the 40 to 70% contour regarding the potential for some flooding rains. And this does extend a little bit more back towards the west, but the overall shape, kind of this half circle, is something we've been talking about the last few weeks. That ridge is going to be dominant over Texas, Oklahoma, and we're going to get these storms firing and riding down to the southeast. That's why that flooding potential is there. Coming up on Wednesday, we follow that track and we follow that ridge with the flooding potential now showing up into Tennessee, North Carolina, and the southeast, about 15 to 40 coming up on Thursday. And then finally on Friday, we kind of return back. We find the energy. We find the potential for some heavy downpours. That includes the Dakotas. Again, that's coming up on Friday. Here's a look at what we have in the precipitation estimate. We got the combination of possible severe weather and flooding rains over one location. And that's, again, where we see some of that training, that half circle shape with these storms as they initiate and then slowly move off of the ridge down to the south and east. The other part of this, there's some energy back up here into Canada as well. Some much needed rainfall into Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Canada as we go through our Wednesday and into our Thursday. We're going to kind of repeat that pattern coming up on Thursday. That's why we see the heavy downpours and the possibility for some flooding into St. Louis, southern Illinois, Kentucky, and also a bit into Tennessee, including Memphis if everything comes out just right. That extends back off to the south and to the east. We'll start off in Circle, Montana. A mostly cloudy high around 95 degrees, low of 67. Andover, jump on Andover. Mostly sunny New Jersey, high around 81 degrees, low of 59. Plaza, North Dakota, population 211.
What are the biggest stressors right now in the pork industry? We'll take a look at that coming up next. And later, take a tour of the Ag States of America as Internet funny man Charlie Barron's tours Pennsylvania today in the country.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.
The National Pork Producers Council releasing its third quarter look at the current market conditions and key issues impacting the pork industry. And top of mind appears to be the potential challenges of California's Proposition 12. Leaders also say persistently high production costs continue to be a major challenge to pork producers' bottom lines. They also say average costs and break-even levels are 9% higher than 1 year ago and have increased 60% over the past 3 years, which you can see on this chart.
Over the last 8 months, producers have been dealing with a very challenging economic environment that has resulted in the worst average losses in about 20 years. From May to July of this year, negotiated hog prices have increased by about 30%, but are still $20 below where they were last year at this time, and production costs are higher.
MPPC says hog slaughter and pork production increased slightly through mid-July. USDA is now projecting a 1.4% increase in pork production this year. Heat stress in hogs, it can be a big problem. Now there's an app that can help producers spot it before it becomes a crisis. It's called Hot Hog, and it was developed by researchers at USDA.
This tool really allows a producer to find at their current location, based on either late mid gestation or non-pregnant, what the thermal status of their animals are, either at that moment in time, hourly throughout the day, or within a predictive for 5-day intervals.
The app also provides temperature and precipitation forecasts and for producers to monitor heat stress at different farms they own across great distances. The Hot Hog app is available on both Apple and Android app stores. Pennsylvania has deep roots in the history of this country. That includes the foundations of agriculture. We'll take a look at what modern agriculture looks like in the Keystone State next. One state in the nation has quite a storied history when it comes to agriculture. We're talking about the Keystone State. Charlie Behrens continues our tour of the Ag States of America from Pennsylvania.
With the Appalachian Mountains running through the center of the state and the Allegheny and Pocono Mountains spanning the northeast, close to 60% of the state is covered in forests. But much of the remaining land is dedicated to farming. The farmers of Pennsylvania take up about 7.3 million acres of land, divided by more than 52,000 farming operations, which makes the average farm about 140 acres in size. Assuming I did my math right, which frankly not a great assumption. But bottom line, Pennsylvania has a lot of farms. In fact, Pennsylvania ranks 19th among the states in egg production, with almost 70% of farm revenue coming from livestock product sales. Milk is the state's most important and leading commodity. Pennsylvania dairy farmers produce 5.5% of the nation's milk supply, and the state is ranked 5th nationally in milk production. In addition, Pennsylvania farmers raise chickens for meat and eggs, cattle, goats, hogs, turkeys, and sheep. And to feed the state's livestock, local farmers grow corn and other grains, soybeans, hay, and haylage. Now, if you're not sure what haylage is, it's essentially hay, but instead of drying it before baling, haylage is baled at a high moisture level and sealed in plastic to be preserved by fermentation. Because let's be honest, fermentation makes everything better. Just ask the cows and everyone who likes beer. Also, did you know that Pennsylvania is home to the mushroom capital of the world? It's true, I'm talking about the small town of Kennett Square in southeastern Pennsylvania. Their water tower even says it too, and water towers have never told a lie. That is a fact. Pennsylvania's farmers grow more than half of the mushrooms consumed in the entire United States, roughly 500,000 pounds each and every year. And when you put it that way, these farmers sound like a bunch of fun guys. Don't they? Get it? Like fun guy? Sorry, dad joke. All right, enough shiitake. Let's get back to spore mushroom facts. It all started back in the 1800s when a local florist conceived the idea of growing mushrooms beneath his greenhouse benches. With success, he expanded and other farmers caught on. Now, button mushrooms are the most popular type in the US, and they include 3 main varieties. When they first appear, they're known as white buttons. As they grow and develop a brown color, they're categorized as cremini. Fully grown, they're what's known as portobello. It's kind of like watching your kid grow up, you know, send them off to college. But in this case, your kid is the mushroom and college is your stomach. So, great analogy, Charlie. In addition to a long list of nutritional benefits, mushrooms are the only edible non-animal source of vitamin D. Now, like many parts of the country, urban expansion can mean the loss of farms and farmland. To address this, Pennsylvania leads the nation in the number of farms and acres permanently preserved for agricultural production. So far, Pennsylvania has protected over 6,000 farms and more than 600,000 acres. Now, and forever from commercial, industrial, or residential development. In fact, Pennsylvania farm families often sell their land at below market value to ensure it will remain farmland forever.
All right, thanks, Charlie. And you can watch more of these state-by-state features over at pivotbio.com/originals. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Griffiths. Have a great day.